Hello and welcome back to Corby's puppetry course. This week I'm going to teach you a few tips and tricks on how to get your foam puppet looking nice and alive and characterful. So there's a few different ways you can hold your puppet depending on how you're performing. You could hold it by your side if you want you and your puppet on the same stage, or what I tend to do is hold the puppet above my head just like this. So I'm going to teach you a few methods based on doing like this, but if it's easier for you, you can also hold the puppet like this. So when you put your puppet on, I would recommend that you use your dominant hand that you write with to put inside the head. So if you're right-handed, put your right hand in the puppet, or if you're left-handed, you can put the left hand in the puppet, whatever is more comfortable for you. So what I want you to do is pop your puppet in the air just like this, just pop it up, and then first of all just have a little look at moving it around. So you should be holding your puppet a little bit like this, so you should have your hand on the mouth plate, and if you do this with your hand you can move the mouth around. Now I'm going to come on how to speak with your puppet later, but first of all I just want you to have a little look around with your puppet. So look up, look down, look to the left, just have a look and see where you can get your puppet to look. See if you can make the neck move differently from the body. You can either move your whole arm to get the body moving, or just your wrist if you want to get the head to move. So have a play around with that. Now next I'm going to teach you how to walk with your puppet. Now this is very important because everything we do with puppetry is trying to mimic real life, and even though this guy doesn't have any legs, we need to make it look like he is walking around. Now the easiest way to do this is by simply bobbing your arm up and down. I'm just going to add a nice little bounce in my arm, and you can see that my character looks like he's bouncing around. Now what you can do is start moving it around, and the puppet will look like he is walking around on your stage. There we go. So get him to walk forwards, walk backwards, walk to the left, walk to the right, get him to look everywhere. So you can try a little bit, you can get him to walk to a little bit, have a little look around, decide, oh I want to go over there, and he walks over here. Very nice. You might want to walk forwards a little bit or walk backwards. So just have a little play around with that. So that is your basic Muppety walk. If you want to go to the next level, you can do a bit of a complicated walk, which is by kind of swaying your arm. Now this is very tricky to do, so you might want to just do the bounce, but if you're feeling adventurous, you can just get your arm to sway a little bit rather than bounce, and then it'll look like he's walking side to side rather than kind of jumping up and down. But for most of these characters, they're quite energetic, so the bounce works quite nicely. You can also move your arm in different ways to get different types of walking. So if you didn't want your puppet to walk, you might want it to skate. So you might just glide your arm around. So you might just, and then it looks like he's kind of skating on ice or roller skating or something like that. So those are kind of three different things you can do. So you can have a play around with what works best. You might want your puppet to glide around. You can also make your puppet jump by doing big bounces. You could jump around. Look like he's having a great time. So there's a big difference between jumping, which is a nice big movement, and walking, which is a much smaller movement. Have a play around with these four different types of walks and see what works best. Have a go at just walking normally, a nice little bounce, have a little bit going left to right, have a little go at skiing, and then have a little go at jumping and see what works best. Now we've got your walks, I'm going to combine this with entering and exiting your stage. Now soon you're going to be given a mini puppet theatre, so there's a few different things you can do. You can also do it with your Zoom screen if you're using a Zoom screen. So if you're using a traditional stage, you're going to end up coming up like this. You're going to end up going up. But if you're using a camera, you can go up and down, but you can also go left and right as well. So there's a few different ways you can enter the stage. Now the first that I'm going to teach you is the stair entrance. So all you need to do is it's combining that bob, but we're slowly going to pretend that our puppet is walking upstairs, and I like to do this in 4 steps. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and the puppet comes up, and then you can turn your puppet around and he can walk back down the same stairs and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's off. You could also do a big jump up by going like that, which can work quite nicely. You can also pretend that your puppet's on an elevator by gliding it down, so he hits the button, boop, or he could use escalators, so he could slowly go up from one side to the other, have a little peek over the escalator as he comes up, and he's going to walk round and walk down the other escalator. So there's a few different ways you can get your puppet to enter and exit the stage if you're on a traditional puppet stage. But if you're using a screen, you could enter from left and right simply just by walking on. Now, next up, I'm going to teach you how to talk with your puppet. So inside your puppet, your hand is going to look like this. And how we move the mouth is by opening and closing our thumb. When you first come and do this, your hand's going to naturally want to do that, but that can look a bit bad. It doesn't look as realistic. So what you want to try and do is just move your lower thumb like this. There we go. And then he looks like he's talking a bit more naturally. Because you'll notice when we talk, we just move the bottom of our jaw. We don't kind of talk like this. So just move your thumb as much as possible. Just have a little practice. There we go. You can get that nice and wide. There we go. So now we need to combine this with something called lip sync. Now, when we speak in what's called syllables, and what this is basically just the sounds that we make with our mouths. So if I was to say hello, that would be two sounds, so two syllables. That'd be hello, which when you do it with a puppet is two openings of the mouth. So hello. What we're going to do as a nice little exercise, you can do this along with me, is we're going to count to 10. We're going to open and close our mouth on each syllable. We want to make sure we're opening and not closing. So if we're saying one, we want to say one rather than one. Now all of these numbers have one syllable in them apart from 7, which has 2. So watch out for that one. So let's try it together. Let's count up to 10 with our puppets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well done, there we go. And you can just keep practicing as you speak, or what I like to do is listen to my favourite song and see if I can get my puppet to sing along, listening out to the different sounds each word makes and making the mouth sing accordingly. You can also vary how wide you open the mouth to get different expressions with your puppet. So you don't always want to open the mouth exactly the same because they can look a little bit robotic and not realistic. Again, we're trying to mimic real life, and you'll notice when we speak, we don't always speak with the same level of mouth movement. It changes. So we want our puppet to reflect this. So sometimes we might want big movements and sometimes we might want small movements. It depends how we speak. Generally, if you're saying something loud, I'd recommend being really nice and big with your puppet. But if you're being nice and quiet, then just do small little movements like that. And you can vary this depending on how you speak. So just have a little play around as you're speaking. Go nice and slowly first. The slower you go, the better. I'm just whizzing you through this currently. That brings us nicely onto the speed of which our puppet talks. Now, first of all, I'd recommend talking very slowly, as this is going to let you get used to moving your hand in this way. But for nice effects, you can actually speed it up and start talking really fast, and it sounds really panicky. So you've just got to practice with that. You've got to make sure your mouth openings match the speed of which you're talking. It takes a bit of a while to get used to, so start nice and slowly, and then if you're feeling brave, talk really fast. Just like that. That's the basics of what to do with our main hand here, but you'll notice you also got your arm rods, and what these are for is moving these two arms here. Now we're going to attach these arm rods. Now what I'd recommend is just starting off with one, because there's a lot to think about with the mouth and the walking, so I'd work your way up slowly. If you're finding it too tricky to use an arm rod, just focus on the mouth, because that is the main part of where our character comes from. This is just a bit of extra fun. You can use the technique that I showed you last week, which is by pushing it in. Now you want to use the hand that is the puppet's non-dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you want to put your first arm rod on your left hand. And if you're left-handed, you want to put the rod on your puppet's right hand. So because I'm right-handed, I'm going to put it on my puppet's left hand, just like that. Give it a little push in. There we go. And then slowly put my hand in. And then I can bring my puppet back up using my walk. So I'm going to walk up in 4 steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's basically quite simple with one arm. Basically where you move your rod is where your hand will move. Nice and simple like that. You can go up, you can go down, and you can go left and you can go right. Just to make sure you go nice and slowly with it, because you don't want to flap it around too much, because you can risk tearing your rod out of the puppet, which is something we don't want to do. So as a natural position, what I'd recommend doing is bringing your hand to your chest like that, and you can use this rod to help your puppet speak. So when we speak, we use lots of expressions with our hands. So I talk a lot with my hands when I talk. So our puppets need to do the same thing. You want to use your hands to further express what your puppet is saying. A nice simple way of showing you this is by saying hello. So when we say hello, we might want to wave. So rather than just going hello with the mouth, we want to go hello, and we want to wave our arm. Hello there, dears. Hello, it's very nice to meet you. You know, you might want to do a handshake with your puppet and go, hello, give me a handshake. It's very nice to meet you. Yes, very nice to meet you indeed. So that's a nice simple thing, but you can generally just move it around as you're speaking. So you might go, if your puppet's talking about their day, they might go, I went for a walk in the park today, but it was terrible. It was raining all day long and it was a disaster. It was terrible. It was terrible. So once you're comfortable with lip syncing, have a little go with one rod and see what extra expressions you can add to your character. He might have a funky thing that he does or something like that, but just have a play around with that. And if you're feeling really adventurous, when you get really competent with using one arm rod and speaking at the same time and walking, lots of things at once, you might want to make it even harder for yourself by putting a second rod in. Again, exactly the same, but we do it on our other arm. So just give it a nice push in. There we go. Now, this is where the tricky bits start. Now, we've got two arm rods, but we only have one hand, so we need to find a way of operating both of our rods at the same time. There's two ways of holding your rods, and it's basically how you hold your chopsticks. So the first one is just gripping them loosely like that. And you'll see there that I've just got my thumb on this one and my fingers around there, and I can open and close the rods like this. You can use it to open and close your rods like that and just pinch them together. You get a nice clap like that. The other way I find is quite useful when you're starting out is to actually cross over one of your rods like this, and then you can hold it together, and that allows you to pinch it as well. So whatever you are most comfortable with. It can get very complicated with arm rods, so I'd recommend simplifying it. And first of all, you might want to let them just hang about, and then you can use one at a time, just like we did with the other hand basically, but now we have two arms to choose from. So you might want to use this one and move it around, and then you might want to point to something over here, so you might want to grab this rod and point over there, and then you might go, oh no, it's back over there, look, it's gone there, and now it's there, and you might want to move your arms around. Or the second thing you can do is just grab both of your arms and you can just move them together, and it will move the arms the same way. This is very good for dancing with your puppet. If you want to do a little bit of a shake like that, you might want to go in and out like that, which is very, very nice. You know, you can move them around together. And then the most extreme thing to do is moving them in different directions at the same time, which is very tricky and takes a lot of practice. So please be patient with yourself if you can't get it straight away. You can use your fingers to hold one in while you move the other one around like that. So you might go, oh, hello, what's over here? Oh, very nice. And then you might want to switch your arms around, and then you can use your hand to like point over here and do that sort of stuff. You can move your arms in different ways like that. So have a play around with those and see what works best for you, whether that's using one arm rod entirely or switching between the two, or holding them together like that and moving them in the same way, or making them move in different ways. Now we've gone through all of our manipulation techniques, the final thing to do is really bringing our character to life with a voice. Now, you might just want to use your normal voice. That is absolutely fine. That can work really well with the puppets. But a lot of these puppets in particular are very zany, crazy characters. So you might want to give them a really crazy voice. So he can talk in a few different ways. He can talk really, really high like this. Or he could talk really, really low like this. Or he might want to talk in an alien language like this. Kind of any voice you can imagine. You might want to give him an American accent or something like that, or he might want to come from somewhere else. Have a play around with different voices, see what's making you laugh, see what you enjoy, and just give your character a voice, and it will really help to bring your puppet to life. And there we have it. That is a basic crash course in foam puppetry. Have a play around with those techniques, and if you have any questions, please make sure to put it in our WhatsApp group, and I'll get back to you with any advice or tips or tricks. Make sure you join one of our puppetry sessions on Tuesdays 6 till 7 or Wednesdays 4 till 5. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it? Yes, you have. Oh, good. Well, thank you very much, and goodbye.